Happy Grammys week.
Thank you. You too.
Are you
It's
ready? Do you feel good? I love it because you have such dedicated fans. I got so many tweets and messages about your fans being so excited about this interview.
that's lovely.
And I think the thing that they love about you is that you always go out of your way to make sure you're so engaged with your fans. So I
Hmm.
want to know for you, like, how would you describe a madeon fan? And what do you love about them?
Wow, it's a great question. I often talk and gush with friends and colleagues about how proud I am of the community
Yeah.
that has kind of built around Madeon and especially Good Faith. I think what I would say is that they tend to be kind and caring and smart and observant and passionate and often quite creative. So there's a lot of fans that, do visual art or that do their own music. Sometimes they do remixes of my work or just their own original thing. And so they seem to engage with the work on a really deep level because they relate often as fellow creators. That's something that I see a lot of. And yeah, and so I feel like I always think that my mission as the artist is to make it as meaningful and as profound as possible of an experience to like be a fan of the project. So I want to make sure there's a lot of layers to it and that it's worth discussing and worth being passionate about because I remember and I still am a huge fan of so many acts, and I know the difference between an act that is rewarding to like invest into and an act that doesn't see it in that way. And so I find that they engage as deeply as I could possibly dream of, and it enables me to do things that are very um, meticulous, I guess. Yeah.
That's got to be cool too as you go on your journey, just probably seeing the same people showing back up for you. That's got to be so encouraging
Hmm.
as well. Well, I want to say congrats, obviously, on your Grammy nomination, your first one. I feel like with some artists that I talk to, they're like, "I've been dreaming about this day forever." But then some people are like, "Yeah, whatever. It's cool. It's a cool accolade." But I'm curious from your point of view, like, what was this on your list? Like, did you want to get a Grammy nomination?
Yes. So that was very much on my list. I'm a big fan of these milestones. I think they are, a great opportunity to look back and kind of celebrate your efforts and everybody's collaboration. So no, I do care. My first Grammy memory that comes to mind was back in 2008. Daft Punk won the Grammy in that same category, the best dance electronic album. And so I remember being driven to school by my parents, and they turned on the radio and they talked about it on the news in France. And I remember being so impressed and proud, and I thought it was so cool because I've been a huge a Daft Punk fan forever. And so I was like, wow, like I was almost as excited as a kid for them winning than I am as an adult being nominated. So, but yeah, I think that obviously that memory came back to mind when the nomination came. So yeah.
I saw you post the tickets
I,
to the Daft Punk concert that you went to. I know you're a huge
yeah.
fan, and obviously them announcing their, retirement, breaking up. How did you take that? Was it kind of expected for you, or were you kind
Yeah,
of
well, yeah, it was very unexpected, but I decided to make a day out of it, and so
oh, I love that.
I actually I cried like actual tears for a little bit. It was very
Yeah.
emotional, but it was happy tears. It was cool.
Yeah.
I was like, it's hard to overstate how meaningful Daft Punk has been to me, and so I was just in awe of, I guess, now that closed legacy. They don't really have the opportunity to tarnish it anymore, So I got to like spend a day thinking about of all of the memories I've made along the way and how much it has informed my own career and my own life. And yeah, and so I wrote a little paragraph or two about my experience with Daft Punk and
Mm,
Reaction. And it's true, I had those tickets by my bedside my whole life, even to this
wow.
day. I brought them over when I moved to Los Angeles, and it's the first concert I had ever seen. And so yes, I made a day of it. I decided to like have a little walk outside and contemplate and find somewhere remote and isolated and just play some of my favorite Daft Punk records. And yeah, it was actually a pretty special, memorable day, like another Daft Punk memory in a way. And I had a lot of conversation with my friends. My friend Porter Robinson called me in the morning to make sure I knew in case
Aw,
in case I was sleeping because he didn't want to. He said that it didn't want me to you know
find out.
uh, yeah, find out after
Yeah.
everybody and feel kind of removed from the conversation. So it was like, if it were me, I would have liked you to let me know. So we got to talk about it, and yeah, it was a pretty special day.
It's kind of a full circle moment when you think about it, though, that the year that they announced the retirement, that you were nominated in that same category. That's pretty special when you think about it. I don't know if you've kind of made that connection.
No, no, let's not make that connection. That's way too much pressure. You know,
No.
I just, in terms of my own personal like
Yeah.
life as a fan, it makes sense to me, but not to anybody else. You know,
I'm speaking from that. Like I think that
right,
that's
right, right. Yeah,
pretty
I
cool.
mean, I don't know. It's you know, it's great to have heroes. You know,
Of
I
course.
think it's a really special thing, and it keeps you young, I think, forever.
Mhm.
When there are certain artists, certain people that are just kind of outside of the realm of your comprehension, and that just seems like kind of magical stars aligning, and there's something kind of almost religious about it. And so I think being a fan is like, and so I was actually really excited when I in a way when I caught myself crying over it because it made me feel like, oh my God, I am as invested in this act as a 26-year-old as I was as a 12-year-old or as a teenager or and I want to keep that alive in me forever. I want to feel that way about my heroes forever.
Oh, I love that. Go back to your Grammys question. I want to know, where were you when you found out about your Grammy nomination, and who was the first person you called?
Um, I was somewhere, I watched it on I watched it on TV. I broadcasted it on the TV, and yeah, and I just, you know, like I had a very, very excited, emotional moment, and I just called my management. I think was the first people
Mhm.
that I called about it, and so because you know, I just wanted to talk about it on a professional level first, I
Yeah.
guess, and you know that we had so many dreams. When I met my current management, you know, I told them about my whole vision for Good Faith. For Good Faith, I talked about this crazy live show I wanted to do, and I wanted to do like a pop-up shop, like a museum, and I wanted to do this crazy like scavenger hunt around the world, and like do all this. So there was all these elements, and I said, and I wanted to be nominated for a Grammy, and I was like, you know, I was just doing this laundry list of all my dreams for this project I was so passionate about, and that was the last item on that list. We ended up doing, you know, pretty much all of those things became a reality. All those creative ideas became a reality, and that one was on the list, but it was very much outside of my control, you know, and their control. So I think it was just emotional for us to look back and think like, wow, we've worked really hard to make that vision a reality over the past, you know, like couple of years. And so yeah. So and then I called my parents
Oh,
and my family, and we went a little group FaceTime chat,
cute.
and it was a good time. Yeah.
Well, not only that, but I feel like Good Faith is your sophomore album, but it's such an important album because you even said that this is the truest expression of what you've been through and what you've said. Like this is, you know, your most vulnerable, this is me album, artist album. So to be nominated, I just think that must feel even more special to you.
Yeah, I think this is Good Faith is the truest expression of my artistic ambitions. Yeah, definitely. It's very uncompromised. It's very true to its intention, and you know, I wrote pretty much all of it, and I sing in almost every song, and I produced and mixed and mastered all of it, and so yeah, it's completely uncompromised. There's zero cynicism in it, and I just decided to see that vision through. And for that particular album to get recognition is extremely special for me.
Yeah.
I feel very yeah, like some I don't know, maybe some degree of vindication for my persistence, you know, in seeing this particular album through. And there was some like really high highs and really low lows in the years of
Hmm.
making it, you know, and so this was such a perfect bow to put on it, you know.
I love that you talk about how you know you moved to LA to make this record, and you
Yeah.
immerse yourself in the environment, and basically like, surround yourself with visions of what your vision was of the album. I kind of want to hear more about that and sort of like why that was important for the process this time around.
Yeah, so in the first few years of my career, because I started working professionally as madeon when I was 16, and so I started touring around then, and so you know, as I was growing up into an adult, I had this whole career unfolding, and it was really important for me to protect myself from that life and preserve a sense of normalcy. And so I would, I lived with my parents and I made sure to like fly back and go to the same bedroom, see the same friends, and have, and so it almost felt like a secret life, like a double life, like a
Yeah.
superhero, like and I would go to America and I would play these big festivals, but then I would go back home and it would be the
Like
same thing.
normal.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
always known, and so I thought I was great for this first chapter of my life, but as I entered my 20s, I realized that, you know what, actually, I want to be madeon. I want to
Hmm.
feel, I want this to be like, I don't want like this impermeable barrier between my personal life and my creativity, and I want to experience it, And so that's what impulsed the idea of relocating eventually to Los Angeles because I felt like the album aesthetic that I had in mind would be a perfect fit for that environment, So I wanted to be able to, have sunny days every day and palm trees
Sunset.
and something like and cover my house with references and mood
Yeah.
boards and just make it this weird, quirky, creative studio vibe with people coming and so I wanted to live it every day. I wanted to wake up in good faith land every day, and so that's what we did.
Do you see yourself doing this sort of immersive experience for your next album? And also,
Mm,
will you stay in LA?
I don't know yet. I'm not really sure. I'm asking myself a lot of questions
Yeah.
these days about that because I think it could make sense to shake things up and
Hmm.
to yeah, refresh my habits and go
Hmm.
into something a little bit unfamiliar. So I'll see. Um, I'll see what I end up selecting. I think I'm gonna give this further thought, next month, perhaps. But for now, obviously I don't even have the option of living in Los Angeles, of course. So
Yeah.
I'm not allowed entry into France or anything. So,
Hmm.
it's obviously this is in the short term, it's not really an option. But yeah.
Obviously, like your plans kind of changed with the Good Faith era and how you sort of, you did get to tour it, which has been awesome. I want to
hmm
know if you plan to, when things open up, pick back up on that tour. Do you see yourself doing it? Like,
Yeah, Good
yeah,
Faith Live is probably one of the creative endeavor I'm like proudest of.
yeah,
It's my ideal show. I feel so cool doing it, and I feel like the feedback that I get, it's so. I feel like I really found something that was my dream thing to perform, and
yeah.
so I want to do it some more. And I feel like that show also has like room to grow. I've put out some new music since the last time I get to perform, so I feel like there's room to update it and keep it evolving and introduce new material and new moments, And so I don't feel like the story of that show is told quite yet,
Yeah.
because it was very much thought of for large festivals and large gathering and celebration. And so if like health and luck permits and we end up being able to do large scale shows at some point, we I think it's the perfect show to because I always said that the main theme of Good Faith is about reclaimed joy, like earning the joy, and for it to have this particular taste when it was grasped from the claws of depression or obstacles and so I feel like thematically it seems like an ideal show to do on a large scale in a world that would reintroduce us to large events. So
Ooh.
yeah, I would
So
love to do it again.
you can maybe see Good Faith live at Coachella, perhaps.
I mean, I was booked at Coachella
I
2020.
know, I know.
So I mean, I am not really in the loop of what's going on with
Not
that particular show, so I can't make an announcement. I think it's very much up to them. But
a,
I would love to do. I think I always thought about Coachella as the perfect venue for Good Faith Live, and obviously the last time I got to perform Coachella was the main stage with Porter in 2017, and that was one of my most treasured memory and one of the most important show of my life. And so I feel like I want to continue that story with them. But we'll see. I hope things happen.
I see it. I think your fans are really hoping that it gets to see festivals, so
hmm
holding out for it. I love with obviously Adventure. Your first album was, your teenage years. This album was your early adult years. Do you see yourself sticking with this kind of theme and with this next album? Maybe you don't know yet, but but yeah, what would the next?
No, I'm actually gonna skip a few steps, and my next album is gonna be about retirement age, no, I think anytime you make earnest art, it's informed by who you are at the given time,
Yeah,
naturally.
yeah,
And so I don't really necessarily intend specifically to say, oh, this is an album about my early adulthood.
yeah.
It just reveals
Just
itself to
happen.
be that as I realize that humans are constantly changing, and so
Yeah.
they become a testament of my taste and of my ambition and desires then. So I think whatever I make next is also similarly going to be in reaction to the ways that I've changed. And I think, like a lot of people, this past year and those evolving circumstances like afforded me also certain opportunities for introspection and growth, and so I do feel like a noticeably different person in enough ways that I do want to capture that moment, like I captured the previous iterations of my worldview and my taste.
How do you feel like you've most grown this year?
I think I kind of reassessed what mattered to me and who I wanted to become eventually. And so I guess sometimes the way that I explain it is that I used to be so preoccupied with just maximizing my career and my artistic output, almost to the detriment of happiness or any other quality. And I'm realizing now that I think at the end of the day, what I want to be is a very cool old man. I want to be in my 70s, and I want to be somebody who's kind and a family man, and who has like obviously hopefully a cool legacy to look back on, maybe artistically, ideally, and then who has some skills that are for the world and some skills that are just for yourself, And so I realized that actually mattered to me more. Like and so there were so many things about myself that I was ready to look beyond or forgive because they didn't really affect my ability to output good creative work. But now that's not enough. Like, it's not enough for me to make a good album. I want to make really important music for me and also progress as a human.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's I guess this is a fairly vague way to explain it, but it felt pretty fundamental. And I guess I've had just personal experiences in the past year that I've never really had time to have, and that are very new to me, and that made me discover sides of life that were very familiar to a lot of people and that kind of weren't for me. So it's naturally informing also my writing. Yeah.
What is like cool old man madeon, aka Hugo? What does he do? Like, what do you think are your hobbies? Like, what are some things that you found out about yourself that you enjoy doing in your free time?
I think okay, so here's my fantasy right now. And
Okay.
I think I'm sure it'll evolve, but my fantasy is that I would design furniture,
Wow.
and I would paint, and I do some of these things already, but like, and then I would just kind of like write songs without really like thinking about it competitively, and I would perform magic for my grandchildren, and
Oh
I
my
would
God.
I would decorate a lovely, weird, interesting, fascinating old man house. Like, I don't know. I think I just have this character of old man Hugo in my head, and I'm trying to make sure that I get there eventually.
I love that. Have you done any furniture making at all, or is this just like a new?
I
Is
draw. I've been drawing, like, cause I just basically, as I fall asleep, sometimes I have melodies, or I have visuals for shows, or I have just things that pop into my head as I fall asleep, fully formed. And yeah, sometimes I just get like a chair design, and so I'll just scribble it. But I don't think I'll have the time to act on any of this. But I just thought it was like such a typical like retired artist hobby, so I just thought it was like a fun thing to look forward to in my old age.
That's really cool. I mean, I'll agree with you where I feel like in quarantine, it's been one of those things where I'm like, oh my God, I forgot that I like love painting. And then like having a day just to paint. And I'm like, how did I never, like, you're discovering, it's really neat because you're discovering these parts of yourself that like you've neglected kind of. I don't know if you
Yeah,
feel, but it's kind of been really special for me as well. And I think a lot of people probably feel the same way.
yeah.
It's really cool. Have you done any magic at all? Like,
I've done so much magic. I mean, it's a lifelong passion of mine, magic, and so I kind of preceded music even arguably. Actually, Yeah, and so I've yeah just been pulling out my playing cards and practicing, trying to come up with new routines and yeah. So
I wish right now I could ask you to do a magic trick, but I don't know if you'd
uh,
be down.
I don't know how because you cannot see a table right now,
Yeah.
so I would need to angle it. But if you had asked before, maybe I could have come up with something. But
Okay.
like I don't think I'll risk it impromptu like that, unfortunately. But maybe
Fair.
in person, I never say no.
I'm gonna hold it to you when I
Uh-huh.
do an in-person interview with you. Okay?
Yeah.
You bring your cards.
Okay. I always have
Uh,
a deck of cards with me.
Perfect. I know that you and Lady Gaga have a very special relationship because obviously you worked on Art Pop and Chromatica. I want to
Hmm.
know just like if you have like what's one of your best memories of working together? Anything you can share? I know the fans always love to hear you talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of very special memories with Lady Gaga, but I don't, I think there's something quite sacred in the studio, and so
Mm,
you don't want to share too much, like so I don't because it's her story, it's her studio session, it's not my anecdotes to tell, so
mm.
so all I'll say is that I only have great amazing things to say about her. I had been a fan from the very start and like a true legitimate passionate like fan, and so getting the opportunity to work with her on Art Pop was unreal, an absolute dream, and so she taught me so much. She was so delicate and caring and thoughtful and fun and talented, and so it just gave me a glimpse at what absolute greatness looks like, And so, so yeah, but I was so young as well back then during Art Pop, and so, and quite impressed. So, but I look back on that time very fondly. And so, yeah, getting to look back and make a very small contribution to Chromatica and to 911, with my friend Michael Bloodpop, was absolutely a thrill, And so we got to hang out briefly in the studio again and reminisce a little bit. And so it was really cool. Yeah, and obviously she had gone through so much since I had gone through so much as well.
Mm.
But um, but that's one of the real treasures of my career for sure.
Do you see in the future potentially like having her on your album or working together again in that capacity?
I don't think she does a lot of features, Like I think that would be
No,
tricky.
no.
I don't know if that because I think for me like I think it more as um, I'm just like just an artisan contributing whatever is needed to her vision, So that's how I approach my relationship. I'm not here to mastermind anything, and so I don't know that it would necessarily come to mind to ask her to join me on. But maybe who knows? Maybe I'll write the perfect song and I'll be like, oh my God, I want her to lend a hand. But no, I just but if I ever have the opportunity to contribute more, I would very very gladly for sure.
I get that too. You kind of just, if it ever were to work out, you want it to kind of just organically play
Yeah,
out as it does. I see
yeah.
that. For you, I'm just curious, what do you do to kind of get in like the creative headspace? If you're like, you're going to sit down to write music, is there anything specific that you do, like you have to have with you in your studio or meditate or anything like that that you can share with us?
Yeah, I only make music when I really want to. And especially lately, if I wake up one day and I decide that, I'd rather paint right now, I just do that instead. And so
Mhm.
I just wait for the fire to like burn in me of music. And often it's in reaction to another piece. Like I'll put on an old record and something will just like, and then I'll just go into a frenzy for a week of like not leaving the studio, like being completely obsessive. And then sometimes I'll spend a literal month not that interested, not in any kind of urgency to make music, but in the back of my head, it's still processing, So I'm not trying, I don't think I'm not very like hustling, go do it every day. Like that's not, I just live my life because in the end it finds its way into the art. And so, yeah, I just wait for the kind of grace to catch me and yeah.
And are you working on your next album right now? Have you started?
Um, I'm writing music, always, obviously, in some way. So, but I'm not really in a place to talk about it formally, so no announcement today.
That's fair. I respect that, but I have to ask.
Of course.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you a couple of fun questions, but first we're gonna take some questions from your fans that are watching right now.
Yay! Okay, awesome.
So for
I've been,
fans You guys want to, yeah, send some questions to the little question button, and then I will have him ask. I will have him answer them in a little bit. But first, these are my fun questions for you.
Okay.
What's the first song you heard as a kid that made you want to make music?
It was Daft Punk's Discovery as a whole, because I watched it
Mhm.
with the movie Interstellar 5555, so I saw it all at once in one go. That was definitely the trigger point. Yeah.
First concert you ever attended?
Daft Punk, Alive
No way.
2007. Yeah, yeah.
I love that. That's really
hmm
cool. What a great first concert. How old were you?
12, 13.
Wow. If you had to go back and give your younger self advice, knowing what you know now about life, the industry, it could be anything, what advice would you give yourself?
Mm, um, so I don't know that I'd give myself any advice, but one fantasy that I do sometimes when I try to practice like some degree of gratefulness and and always and not become blasé about how lucky I've been. And so often what I do is that I'll sit down alone and imagine that I'm sitting with my 10-year-old or 11 or 12-year-old self, and I'll tell myself all of the cool things that are about to happen. So I'll be like, all right, so I know you're like failing at school right now, and everybody's, you have this music dream. Everybody's telling you that it's silly and like that. But here's what's about to happen.
Oh
Okay,
my,
you're gonna be nominated for a Grammy. You're gonna this, that, and I tell myself all the cool things on the horizon, and I just imagine my sparkling eyes like and so that's what so instead of advices, I think I would just do a little bit of a spoiler.
you'd be your own hype man.
Yeah. And
That's so
but then maybe I would get lazy and then it wouldn't happen. So I don't know.
I know. That's so cute though. What made you, because that reminds me of like doing shadow work or stuff like or anything like that. What made you start doing that? Or how did you come up with that?
I don't know, just naturally, just because I
Yeah.
was I again, like, this was so much of what has happened to me has been my absolute real legitimate dream, and
Mm.
so I just it's irresistible to just gush about it and think like, wow, how cool, like how lucky am I?
That's so important too, because I feel like in this industry, it's really easy to get stuck on the like, okay, what's next? What's next? And not really realize like how far you've come. And so I think that that's such a good way to do it.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think it's great to also nurture some degree of ambition and frustration, perhaps even to do more, but like it shouldn't be to the detriment of also like training your gratefulness. Yeah.
Mm. Any embarrassing moments performing on stage moments?
Yeah, so many. But there was I think there was one that was quite bad where we I was singing as a guest with uh, Porter Robinson for his festival Secret Sky, and I was coming to perform Shelter, and it was a 2-night festival. We did it twice, but the first night we there's like some autotune on the song, so we had autotune on the show, on the feed of my voice, and there was basically some kind of technical issue, and so instead
Oh,
of
no.
correcting to the right notes, everything was like off, and so it was like making me sound worse.
Oh no.
And so I just sounded like awful, like really bad. But yeah. And so I remember like thinking, and there's nothing I could do because again, like even if I, yeah, I was just kind of a victim of the processing. And I just thought, damn, like I guess that's the revenge, of the revenge of autotune. But then the next day we did it again, it was fixed and it was great. So
That's funny. All right, let's find some fan questions. What do we got in here? Okay. Um, let's see. I should have looked at these before. What's the best way? Okay. Kind of a simple. What's your dream collab?
I've tried to work with Paul McCartney. I think I would
Oh my
maybe
God.
be top of the list. I wanted Paul to just play bass on my song Nirvana. I just wanted him to play bass, and but he was busy. They replied with a nice email saying that he was working on a different project and didn't have time. So, but that would be top of the list.
That would be huge though to get him.
hmm
Thing. This is kind of funny. How many cups of coffee do you drink in one day?
Right now, just one in the morning, and then I do a green tea
Oh,
in the afternoon.
that's good. That's healthy.
hmm
Switch it up a little bit. Oh, there's so many good questions, you guys. Let's see. Okay. What's your favorite piece of furniture in your house right now?
Oh, I have this like I guess I got this weird chair the other day that I thought was a really interesting shape, and I have this weird coffee table, and I guess like, and also I'm kind of, I don't know, I have predictable taste, and so I really like Pierre Jeanneret lounge chairs and stuff, I
Uh,
guess, like everybody maybe, and so I have one of these. So yeah.
okay, okay. Um, let's see. What's this one? How do you start writing a song? What was the start for Shelter?
Um, Porter and I just decided to collaborate, and we worked on that song in various ways. The most memorable moment of that song was when he came over to my hometown of Nantes and stayed over, you know, and we worked at my parents' house in my studio next to the bamboo garden, and you know, and we progressed on that song, and we didn't really figure out the lyrics until quite late, and then we had a bit of an epiphany about what the theme should be, and you know, the theme of transmission and fatherhood and parenthood in general, and so yeah. Uh, so I'm sorry, that was a fairly vague answer.
The beginning. The
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the beginning, it's mysterious, you know, it's just like magical forces and you know, stars aligning.
Nice. Okay, how about this one? Will Love You Back be released this year?
I don't know. I mean, I have the project, you know, like I think it's like I like having it like as it's like that project file is my buddy, you know. It's like so I will see, maybe I don't know. I'm
No promise.
maybe yeah, no promises. I'm it would be cool, maybe, yeah.
Okay, I'll do a couple more because I know
Hmm.
you go. What was your favorite Good Faith song you did?
It changes, but I think my favorite is maybe Dream Dream Dream, and then Miracle. Often I think like it is my proudest achievements musically. Um, and then I have days where I just love No Fear No More for what it is, and so yeah, I think maybe any of those three. But again, to be honest, I really enjoy Good Faith very much. It's still my jam. Like I still listen to it, and I'm like, yeah, this is cool. I actually listened through the album not that long ago for the first time in months, and I was like, this is cool. Like I'm into this. There's so many little details that I'm proud of and little melodies I think are cute. So I just like, yeah, I don't have any song that I reject from it, and so my favorite kind of cycles in throughout. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, I'm trying to find one more good one. What should I end on? Um, Dang it. It's like the last one, so it's got to be good.
Favorite thing to cook in Breath of the Wild? It's like a Legend of Zelda video game question.
Someone, I know, literally, someone just asked that. Here, look at. What is your
Yeah.
favorite video game?
Favorite video game is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I've been replaying it lately for the God knows how many time, and it's masterful. It's one of the best piece of media anybody
Mm.
has ever made, and it's my favorite thing. Yeah.
You've been doing a lot of that in quarantine.
Yes. Yeah. Hmm.
And last question, what is your quote to live by? Like, what do you wake up every morning and say to yourself to have a good day? What's your quote? Make you think for the last one.
Hmm. Um, I think I don't think I have a permanent one. I tend to have a pretty strong belief in the ability to, at least for me, I think I grow through observation, I guess, and so I feel like I address different areas at different points of my life. So I guess the quote changes, you know, depending on where I'm at, maybe.
Hmm.
But what would it be right now? Um, I'm not sure. I don't think that I have anything catchy or hooky. I can like go on a like 45-minute rant about a topic or another, perhaps, and try to, but I don't know that I've been able to like succinctly summarize some of those perspectives in ways that would work as a quotably. So and so yeah, no, I don't know that I'm the best candidate for to answer that.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Are you in a mood right now where you're just like ready to be out of quarantine, or are you just kind of like in a still surrender mode of
I think it's kind of tricky actually because I think this in between situation is challenging because it was easier in a way to um, have some distance and practice some sort of form of wisdom when I was pretty convinced that maybe shows would never return. And so and maybe that's what inspired me looking forward to old age and like looking
mm,
beyond music. But now that things, now that there's a reason for hope and I don't know. I'm like kind of lost. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel. I mean, I guess yeah. I'm trying to find my footing emotionally. Like I'm not sure if I want to just rush back into
yeah.
the way that I felt, a year ago. So I don't know. Um, yeah, I'm a little lost,
Well, I
like
think
everybody.
it's so relatable because I think we all sort of feel that way, right?
Hmm.
It's like it's almost scary. We've been kind of in this place where, yeah, we've taken time for ourselves and we're creating or whatever it is we're doing. But yeah, I think that's a pretty relatable response. So thank you for
Yeah.
your heart. I appreciate that. And thank you so much for hanging out with us. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you. And I look forward to interviewing you, Magic Tricks, and then Old Man Madeon. I cannot wait.
Yeah. I wanna let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, well, thank you. And thank you everyone for tuning in. You guys have been great, amazing questions. And we'll see you at the Grammys.
Yeah, see you then. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye
See you
bye.
guys. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.